And by the way, portraying a propaganda film, Ishmael, as a documentary, as one of the students pointed out, is a fine example of what we're talking about.
Your time's up. Thank you.
About changing the facts.
My name is Tom Mountain. I'm a resident of 117 Truman Road in Newton. I am the chairman of the Newton Republican Party. I am also the vice chair of the Massachusetts Republican Jewish Committee. And oh, how I wanted the teachers to stay here. There's so many dozens who are here because I wanted to ask them a few questions. I wanted to query them as to how many among them are Republicans, how many voted for Donald Trump, how many voted for Charlie Baker. But in reality, I really don't need to do that because we all know the truth. They're not Republicans because the Newton Public Schools does not hire Republicans. As does the superintendent, who does not hire Republican principals. There are no Republicans on his staff. It's a Republican-free zone. Now, the individual that you saw over there who staged the walkout of the teachers so that they didn't have to listen to diversity of opinion, meaning our opinion, that was the same one who basically showed the movie that depicted Jews behaving as Nazis. He's the one who did it. When I queried him and asked him to stay for my response, he looked at me in a snide remark and refused to do so. And how telling is that? How telling is that? He gives the words, he snaps his fingers, they all rise. Like automatons, they all rise and they get out of town. They don't want to listen to us, they don't want to hear us, they don't care about us. That's how it's been and that's how it will continue. I've been the chairman of the Newton Republican Party for a very long time. And I will tell you this, I am at the stage where those of you who are Republicans, who are conservatives in the audience, do not send your children to the Newton Public Schools. What you witness here is what they think of you. They don't like Republicans, they despise Republicans. If looks could kill, I would have been dead 10 times over with the eyes that I got on me because I'm wearing this coat. Because I'm wearing this Trump jacket. The same jacket that I will wear next week when I proudly attend the Hanukkah reception at the White House. They don't like us, they despise us. Ask your school superintendent. Ask them how many principals are Republican. Ask them how many teachers are Republican. And on top of that, they say they're not biased. Ask how many of them showed up at the Veterans Day event last week besides the mayor. Ask how many showed up at Memorial Day. They never show up. They don't care. Ask about the programs that they had for Veterans Day. Nothing. Nothing. Folks, it's over. If you're a liberal Democrat, muzzle top. Stay here. It's your paradise. It's your biosphere. If you're a Republican, you're independent, it's time to get out of town. It's over. And I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. It's over. I'm going to get out of town, and as soon as I feasibly can, and I will advise, and I can see some of you are smiling. Good. Fine. You won. You got rid of Tom Mountain. Congratulations. Mazel tov to all of you. The liberals have taken over, and I'm going to be at the White House next week proudly representing.
Thank you.
Is Gene Aitkus here? Are you Gene?
No, I'm not just he left there. He asked me to speak.
I don't think we're doing it that way. Sorry. Okay, I have 6 more names. I have Wayne Luck, Bill Holman, Rob Gifford, Sharon Salwin, Margot Einstein, and Leon Cadis.
Go ahead. Yeah. Just state your name and address.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Can people hear me? My name is Sharon Salwin. I live at 151 Newtonville Avenue, and I'm reading this for my daughter, Allison Salwin, who graduated in 2017 from Newton North High School and now attends Barnard College of Columbia University. She wasn't able to attend this meeting because she has school and finals, but wished that this be read in her stead. A lot of what I will speak, I through Ally, because that's what she wrote, okay? Sorry. A lot of what I have to say, sorry, I just lost my place here. A lot of what I have to say has already been eloquently stated by my peers in a collective letter from the graduates of Newton North High School in defense of our school system. However, I feel that I have a moral obligation to speak personally on this issue. As a Jew and as an ethical human being, I believe that it is my duty to speak up when I see injustice. It is also my duty to think critically about my beliefs, to examine my assumptions, to reassess my opinions. I can comfortably say that Newton North, and especially the skilled, dedicated faculty of Newton North, helped me develop my ability to think critically. Classes like Middle East, Asia, and Latin America since 1945 challenged me. Sorry, oh my goodness, my phone challenged me. Okay, sorry. Cell phones. Challenged me to look over a broad spectrum of accounts of highly contentious events and to form my own opinion. The class was structured around debate, looking at conflicting points of view and recognizing that both accounts have legitimate aspects and both accounts have, and both accounts have valid opinions that we, the readers, should be critical of. Mila, as it is known, is one of the classes that best prepared me for college and for being an adult, where it is an imperative for me to look at evidence, to question and ascertain its origin, and finally to form my own interpretation. It is easy to look at the world in shades of black and white, but it is a shortcut to extremism. The oversimplification of events, of ideas, of people into good and bad leads to ignorance, bigotry, and hate. That is the one area that my teachers never tolerated. Blindness, baseless hatred. I am proud to have graduated from a school system and to have been taught by teachers that stressed the importance of the shades of gray and represented the voices of all students.
Margot Einstein, 63 Burdine Road, Newton. Look at Camera's research. Has anybody on the school board or administration read Education Without Indoctrination? They have the monographs, the bias and propaganda in the schools is all documented there. Stop calling our grassroots citizens group names. I am not involved in a hate group. Name calling tries to divert and cover up the travesty that Newton's school materials are not twisted history and fiction. We tax-paying citizens know that we are gaining strength because people are beginning to speak up. Students who have been harassed and victimized are starting to talk about being bullied for their views and opinions. How about this public hearing tonight, legally demanded citywide of the school administration because one of the huge amount of outrageous citizens who signed the demand petition. There's plenty to be outraged about. Why is perverted history taught in the schools? Why aren't the students getting facts instead of fiction? Why did the school board extend David Fleischman's contract 4 more years with high kudos from every member when the man is known nationally as a plagiarist and locally we know he has lied to us over and over? Some role model for our young people. Fleischman's salary is $206,000 a year with typical annual pay increase of 3%. Has he or the school committee solved the problem of the bias-skewed curriculum? No, no, and no. The materials in the schools are anti-Christian, anti-American, anti-Western, anti-Semitic, and pro-Islamic. We must work together as Americans to see that facts given our children are true.
Hold your applause, please. Next.
Leon Cadis, 7 Clifton Road. I've been living here since 1961 and attended 12 years of school. No problems, I was very happy, and I never saw any hostility to Israel or Jews. However, I don't think that's the case now. The thing that disturbs me the most is finding out that a film was presented at Newton Public Schools, critical or hostile to Israel, portraying soldiers of the IDF as almost like Nazis. What's going on here? It's unbelievable. If that was ever done to any ethnic or any other country, people would go wild. But it seems Jews are fair game. So I'm asking you to take the recommendations of this, of this petition and implement it. And other than that, that's really about it. And I am a supporter of Charles Jacobs. Thank you.
Wayne Luck and Bill Holman, are you here in the audience? Okay. Haley, C-L-I-N-I, Vignetta VJ. Okay. Zoe Lee, Megan Bell, and Jim, could be Aronson, who lives at 739 Com Ave.
Hi there, my name is Haley Klein. I live at 42 Thornton Street in Newton Corner. I'm a current senior at Newton North High School. As a student there, I find it somewhat offensive that people don't know who we are as a student body. As a student body, we are active in social justice and calling out the atrocities of the world, what we can do to help. If this were a thing going on in our school, you bet there would be just widespread support among the student body speaking out about this. Tonight, most of the students speaking have been against this petition, as I am too. But the critical thinking skills I've learned at Newton North have taught me not to generalize. I cannot generalize about the student body, the whole student body, about their thoughts on this, but I will say my view. It is sad to see that the Americans for Peace and Tolerance think that learning occurs solely from teachers. The community in North, I've learned just countless things from it. From my friends, I am not Jewish. I would not have a stance in this without learning from my Jewish friends, my Jewish peers. And I think this critical thinking has changed me as a person. Since I was young, I would have never imagined myself speaking here. I would have never imagined this event going on. But what I've learned from the curriculum, being diverse as it is, encouraging this critical thinking. I've not learned what to think. I've learned how to think, as many of my peers have said. Without it, I don't think I'd be able to navigate the world outside of here. And I mean, speaking on that, there's a whole world outside of Newton. There are countless cultures, there are countless people of different ethnic backgrounds, and our history curriculum serves to educate us about how we go about interacting with a world that we don't know about, how we can learn more, how we can relate to those who are oppressed, and all of that. And I think this whole petition is undermining that. It's undermining how I have learned to think critically. It's undermining how countless members of my school community have learned how to navigate the world, how to go about just accepting that there's no one group of people that's the same. There's so many different people, there's so many different backgrounds, and as a student, this is probably the most valuable part of my education. I'm not a history buff, as one might say, but I'm eternally grateful for what my history education has taught me as a person. Thank you.
Vignetta VJ, Zoe Lee, Megan Bell, Jim Aronson.
I'm a resident of Newton, have
What is your name and your address, please?
Jim Aronson. I live on Commonwealth Avenue, and I have two daughters. One is graduating in 17, and one is graduating, hopefully, in 19. And I am a geologist. I got involved in being interested in this group who has provided the petition because I was struck by the detail of their criticisms, and specifically about maps, and apparently the source of the maps. And the nature was that the maps they claimed were of Palestinian literature origin. And for example, I brought with me a book it's a Palestinian book, which I bought in the city of Hebron in Israel. And every map, such as the one I would show up to you, which I can do now, is a cartoon, because it's a depiction of the surface of the earth, which is enormous to put on a page. So if we have a textbook that has such a map that might have come from a Palestinian source and is claimed to be an error, well, every map at some point is an error. My wife right now, this very minute, it happens to be in Poland giving lectures. And she's in a town that is very small. And I finally found a map with that on it. But it is a cartoon of the real depiction. And the notion that there's a map in Newton North without Israel on it is, I cannot believe that. And so what I want to do is to say, for example, organizations like Camera, which show that we are always being watched in the classroom. That's McCarthyism. I would like to just end by listening to the students who spoke here. I would say 100%, even very conservative ones, about the education that they got and the quality of their teachers, and to be subjected to the intimidation that some of these teachers are subject to. These people could not have gone through the schools and walked through the hallways to see the tolerance that I see at Newton North as a parent. Thank you.
And I owe Megarabel an apology. I was calling it out as Megan. Is Megarabel here? Okay, looks like we're going to go to the next grouping. I believe this name is Albina Weissman, Gabrielle Applebaum, Margie Ross Dector. There's someone whose last name is Ansali at 50 Dolphin Road, Leon Mintz, and then Alex Koifman at 2300 Common Ave. Yeah,
Go ahead.
just come on up and thank you.
State your name.
My name is Albina Weissman. I'm currently a resident of Newton. I live on 20 Hammond Parkway. Honestly, I'm not prepared, and I didn't expect that signing my name at the door will bring me a microphone, but it's okay. I'm that one Jew who immigrated from Russia in 1989, and I'm very surprised that I'm the first one who is standing here. So I try to speak from the depth of my heart, from how I feel it and how I understand it. Honestly, though I've been here for over 30 years, first meeting of this kind I attend. I'm a Republican now. I used to be an independent. I definitely a Jew, and I definitely support Israel. And I came from the place where none of you even understand what indoctrination means. I came from the place of such deep indoctrination, which was coming from everywhere, that only because of sanity and deep knowledge of my parents, I became sane. And I always was saying, not like many people became sane when they came to America, I always was sane, even when we lived in Russia. And there are so many puzzles of things that I heard here. Critical thinking, devotion to good teachers, one of the greatest towns in America, Republican versus Democrats. You know what? I'm scared. When I came here, I came from the fear of being Jews, and the place where Jews were not always physically persecuted, but didn't have any opportunities. I always also came with the knowledge, and I acquired even more knowledge living here, that being safe as a Jew is not always guarantee of your future safety. Look at Germany, look at Austria, look at this beautiful country where Jews consider themselves citizens and then became nobody. So when I found out from my friends, actually I don't have anybody who graduated from Newton schools except friends, children of my friends, but I do have grandchildren who suppose at some point be students in the South High School. So what I want to say is, it's very strange for me, everybody claiming critical thinking, and majority of people who were talking first half hour, somebody commanded them to leave and they left. So whether they have short attention span, does their teacher know that, or they have no critical thinking, or even their teachers don't understand what critical thinking means, and that's kind of all very surprising for me. As it says, yes, there is indoctrination. These people make to believe that they're safe, that they can do whatever they want, that they can consider different points of views and feels free, that Israel does not, you're really always right. And it's kind of scary, because there's so many Jews here who feel themselves safe. And that's made no problem.
Thank you. Hold your applause. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Applebaum. I live at 205 Mill Street. I'm a senior at Newton North High School. I'm an observant Jew, and I was born in Israel, and I consider myself a Zionist. And I would just like to first of all thank everyone who came out today to express their opinions. I know a lot of people think that people don't want their opinions heard, but I do. I really love hearing other people's opinions. I love hearing different things they have to say. And I just want to say that throughout this night, I felt like there's been a lot of discussion of indoctrination and brainwashing of students that suggests that somehow I am incapable of thinking for myself. And I believe that I am very capable of such a thing. I think that I'm a mostly grown human being who's capable of making up his own opinion and his own mind, and I don't think I can be indoctrinated. I would just like to say that if anyone disagrees with me, or if anyone has an opinion that they think I should hear, my email is gabriel.applebaum@gmail.com, gabriel.applebaum@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear why you think I'm wrong, but I think I'm a critical thinker and that I can think for myself. I don't think I'm capable of being indoctrinated. Thank you.
Hello, Margie Ross, Dr. 20 Vine Street. Good evening. I'm a former member of the Newton School Committee and have sat for many hours, as you have, and listened to many hours of public comment and debate. I'm also an officer of the board of the Jewish Community Relations Council, which has under its umbrella 43 Jewish organizations across the greater Boston area with a variety of viewpoints on a range of topics that we've been talking to today. And I'm also a parent in the Newton Public Schools. And over the years that I've listened to the commentary that's been presented, it's been met with great concern. And I know that each one of those incidents has been actively investigated. Honestly, I've talked to my own children and other students, and some of the accusations have never even been noticed. Some textbooks have not been recognized, and other things are somewhat of a myth. However, it is important that those investigations do continue if there is new evidence that emerges. It is a sad sign of commentary that there's been an amping up of tactics to hijack community meetings, engage in disorderly conduct, and now target individual teachers. We need to restore civil discourse in our community and focus on the impact that this is having on our children, because after all, that is why we are all here. In an era where the public is routinely faced with fake news and conspiracy theories, it's critical that our leaders do what they can to build trust and pave the way for open dialogue and transparency, which is why I support the Newton Public Schools making more public its efforts to combat bias and discrimination in all forms. Key to this has been efforts to reach out to the community, and I know firsthand how strongly NPS is committed to critical thinking and creating welcoming, inclusive, and safe spaces for students, which are key to maintaining excellence in teaching and learning, especially when debating difficult subjects. And there's some great debates in those classrooms, and we heard some of those comments this morning from our students this evening. I'm encouraged that NPS is making publicly known its efforts to further expand these dialogues with parents, guardians, students, and faculty, and facilitate reporting of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel concerns. We want to hear directly from students and parents about actual incidents they're concerned about. NPS is committed to improving its efforts and providing unbiased and scholarly approaches to educating in the Middle East, and has continually reached out to experts such as Brandeis University, Brookline Public Schools, and the Anti-Defamation League. When Mayor Fuller addressed our community after the mass shooting at Eitz Chaim Synagogue, she acknowledged the vulnerability we are all feeling, and that amps up everybody's emotions. Anti-Semitic hate crimes have increased nationally, and we've seen symbols of hate in our city and our schools. I know I'm not alone when we say we will not tolerate that in Newton. This is hard work, and we're listening to our community. We can do even better. Our educators are on the front line helping students grapple with these issues, and they teach critical thinking, but skills to model civility. We need all of the adults to model civility so we can make real progress to help our students succeed in the world. Let us all work together.
Thank you.
I've got 3 names here. I'm not sure if people are, if you are, how you call it, Ansali, Leon Mintz, Alice Koitman.
Hello, my name is Leon Mintz. I'm from Acton, Massachusetts. For many years now, Newton schools are secretly teaching that Israelis are like Nazis. They're teaching that the Jewish soldiers have been murdering Arab women and children in jails. In the recent letter, Newton school graduates praised their teachers for great education. It's horrifying that the whole generation of Newton children had been raised believing in the blood libel. Newton became known as the center of anti-Semitic propaganda in the United States. Newton citizens must decide if they want to stay that way. I also want to say something about harassment. It's not harassment when teachers are asked, what are we teaching? It's harassment when students have to sit through anti-Semitic movies and through Noam Chomsky presentation. That is very harassment. Why I'm saying it because I have been in such a situation, when you have to sit and listen all the BS that's produced by propaganda. Next, Mr. Bedar said that he is for critical thinking, that he brought a bunch of his students and that he ordered them to leave, time to go to school. That's called critical thinking. God forbid they will listen our opinions. I also take to tell about education without indoctrination. I'm one of these people. And why I joined it, because growing up in the Soviet Union, I found out that the same thing that Mr. Bedar produced as his curriculum, it really was developed by Brezhnev Soviet Union 50 years ago. Just the same curriculum, it was packaged, added some stuff from Hamas, and then brought to our schools. And last thing I want to say, Mr. Bedar said he is Jewish, and many people here are Jewish. Okay, I have seen Jewish commissars. Believe me, they are not very much Jewish. But in Russia we say, we are commissars, we are not Jewish. And he said, oh, I'm Jewish, so whatever I say, believe I'm Jewish, so you shouldn't treat me badly. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alex Koitman. I'm a longtime resident of Newton. My son graduated from Newton North. I'm president of the Russian Jewish Community Foundation, RJCF. I grew up in the Soviet Union, where I was taught lies about Israel and the United States. If we had a meeting like this in my high school in the Soviet Union, asking students to conform to the party line and see how much they love the school curriculum, You know what it would be? It would be here, like this, 100% with a party line. This is despicable. We're back to the Soviet Union. Pretty much everyone in the Russian Jewish community agrees with my description of this Soviet reality. When the Soviet propaganda attacked Israel, everyone understood that it was directed towards us, Jews. It is happening here. Attacks on Israel are really attacks on Jews. We see it on college campuses. FBI statistics show that Jewish students are harassed more than any other ethnic group. Hate crimes against Jews constitute over 50% of all ethnic hate crimes. A great deal of this harassment against Jews is a result of anti-Israel propaganda. In this context, it's alarming to us, although apparently not to David Fleischman, that there have been documented incidents in which students in Newton schools were given biased information about Israeli-Arab conflict. Recently, students were shown the movie Ishmael, drawing parallels between Jewish soldiers and the Nazis. The movie is made to look like a documentary, although it is a pure work of fiction. I remember as a student watching war movies in the Soviet Union that showed German soldiers treating civilians in the most inhumane ways. Ishmael depicted Jewish soldiers to look and behave like Nazis. This is blatant anti-Semitism, and this is not just my opinion, it is according to both the State Department and Department of Education. Other cases of bias and lies are well documented in the book Indoctrinating Youth by Camera. You should be studying this book in your school curriculum. I have a question for the school committee. Why do you allow such blatant anti-Israel propaganda? I have a question for Superintendent Fleischman. Do you not realize that a biased, mostly one-sided presentation can have profound consequences for the students and for the society? Thank you.
A person whose last name is Ansali at 50 Dolphin Road. Okay. The next 6 names are Leah Jacobson, Stephen Hassan, G. Malik Smith, R. Feynman, this could be Victor Zach at 24 Oakmont, and Yasmin Kazimi.
Hello, I'm Steve Hassan. I'm Jewish. I first moved to Newton in 1981. I live in Newton Corner, and my son is a sophomore at Newton North. For the past 42 years, I should also say I'm a licensed mental health counselor. For the last 42 years, I've been studying brainwashing and mind control and cults. I've written 3 books. I've been on every major media show. And I just want to add to this discussion an influence continuum of ethical influence and unethical influence, where there's honesty and informed consent and deception and manipulation, where it's based on respect or based on hatred, where it's based, there's a whole set of criteria along this influence continuum, which is one of the models in my book, as well as criteria of behavior control, information control, thought control, and emotional control. I've heard a lot about critical thinking, but I haven't heard anything specifically about teaching social perspective taking, which I think is a critical element of developmental psychology, of being able to really step into someone else's shoes, understand their point of view. And it is a fact of debate to be able to know the other side and argue it both ways and get rid of the attacks on the people and get rid of all the incendiary black and white, all or nothing, us versus them, good versus evil absolutes, and understand we're human beings, we're not perfect, and that we strive for truth. But anyone who says there's truth with a capital T, it's authoritarianism. I want to thank you for this open listening to the community. This is a demonstration, I think, of what makes our country great. And I support the Constitution. I support the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I actually believe all students should be encouraged to read these rights and practice them with each other. Thank you.
Anybody else from the list? Yes. Hello.
Excuse me. Is it possible for us to make a joint statement in the time limit of one person? Great. Just wanted to double check before we started doing that.
Would you give us your name and address?
I am
please?
R. Feynman. I live at 21 Rail Street.
My name is Charlotte Badler. I live at 132 Glenway Street in Dorchester. Good evening. My name is Charlotte. I grew up in Newton Highlands and attended Basin Rice Elementary School, Brown Middle School, and Newton South High School, from which I graduated in 2007.
I grew up in Wobbin, and I went to Ainger, Brown, and South. I graduated in 2011.
We are also members of If Not Now, a movement led by young Jews working to transform the American Jewish community's support for the occupation into a call for freedom and dignity for all. I'm very proud to return to the Seychelles Auditorium, where I performed in and teched many South Stage shows during my high school years, to speak about, on behalf of If Not Now, regarding this issue. I remember the Newton Public Schools as a place where I was encouraged to take big risks, set lofty goals, and search for answers to hard questions. Americans for Peace and Tolerance wants to silence any content that does not agree with their narrow worldviews through censorship and intimidation. This is an alarming perspective for anyone who hopes to raise children to become ethical, empathetic citizens. It is also insulting to the intelligence of the students and the dedication and skills of the teachers of the Newton Public Schools. Moreover, Americans for Peace and Tolerance believes that the greatest threat to the Jewish community in this moment is criticism of Israel. They are wrong. And if not now, we know that what threatens Jews is the same thing that threatens all oppressed groups, the rise of white nationalism. The shooter at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh was fueled by the same racist rage that has fueled violent attacks on people of color, immigrants, and other oppressed groups.
And if not now, we have been taking action in educating our community about our historical oppression as a people, how to heal generational trauma and empower ourselves, how anti-Semitism animates white nationalism, and how to incorporate these values in our work towards the liberation of all people, including those in Israel-Palestine. We know that it is not erasing criticism that will keep us, of Israel, that will keep us safe. It is through coming together with other marginalized groups to fight back against white supremacy. And a censored education is not the way to do this. We need diverse perspective in our schools. On behalf of If Not Now and the thousands of young Jews in our movement, we call on you to reject this wrong-headed and dangerous proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the list? If your name is called on the list, if you can please come close, so we don't have to wait too long. I'm going to read it once more, and then we're going to move on to the next group. I've got Leah Jacobson, G. Malik Smith, Victor Zach, and Yasmin Kazemi. Okay, I'm going to read Brenda. It's a very long name, and the last part of it is Rosenzweig, 75 Flanagan, Framingham. Gail Larson. There's a name that I can't read at all, but their address is 77 Florence Street. And I have Charles Jacobs and Ilya, and you know who you are, but I can't read your last name. F-E, and it ends in S-T-O-V.
Go ahead. Hi, my name is Gail Larson. I live at 131 Rose Street in Auburndale. I sent a letter today to the school committee giving my unequivocal support to Dr. Isong Iboketti and Mr. David Bidar for their excellence in education and support of their curriculum. My daughter attended Newton North High School and graduated last spring. We have had nothing but the best of experiences at Newton, and it's important that such open-mindedness continue. I don't want to expand more on the letter that I've already written, but I do want to add one thing that I was remiss in not adding at the bottom of the letter, is that please deny this petition. Thank you.
I don't know, is anybody else who I called in the audience? Iman is here. Does Iman need a microphone?
Go ahead. My name is Iman Ansari. I live on 50 Dolphin Road. I'm going to repeat the same statement I gave last December for the same purpose, the same petition. And I'm speaking against the petition and in support of the teachers. I know that a lot of people on the APT side have mentioned the issue of rising anti-Semitism. It is true. I agree that it's a time of rising anti-Semitism. It's also a time of rising racism. It's also a time of rising Islamophobia, anti-Arab sentiments. It's a time of rising bigotry. Bigotry is unacceptable. Hate is unacceptable to any group, be it Jews, Palestinians, Arabs, Indians, Muslims, African Americans, Hispanic, any group. APT cannot demand a pro-Jewish curriculum at the expense of facts, critical thinking, and other groups' rights. I'm an Arab, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Palestinian, and I'm also a Newton community parent of 4 children. I'm a pediatrician. I've treated a lot of your children in the emergency department. I'm an effective fabric of Newton. I'm here to support my children's teachers and their education from any interference by external forces, including religious, political, or other interest group, however well-meaning they think they may be. Our children have the right to access and to be exposed to available facts, opposing perspectives, synthesize them, analyze them, and develop their opinions and learn to back up their arguments both pro and con. My kids, who are Palestinian Muslim kids, I want them to learn the Jewish perspective, as much as Jewish kids should learn other perspectives. For our children to be prepared to succeed in life, compete in a world where differing points of view are expressed, forge paths for peace, and effect change, we need to allow teachers to do their best job of teaching the facts, debating all sides and perspectives, and allowing the students to respectfully develop their own views. We can't cripple our children with censored curricula. We cannot cripple our children with censored curricula. Our schools are Newton public schools. They're neither Saudi schools nor Israeli schools. They are not any external country or government's public schools. Our children deserve an American, impartial, high-quality education delivered and moderated by our high-quality teachers. And my experience in Newton Public Schools is that we have the best teachers. It's time of rising bigotry. I share that anxiety. Instead of trying to influence the school curriculum, let's sit together. And I'm extending the invitation again. Let's sit together, listen to each other, work together as Newtoners to resolve bigotry against all groups. Because bigotry starts at home. Bigotry is not taught in schools. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brenda Homefield Rosenzweig. I'm not a Newton resident, but I'm a Massachusetts citizen, and I feel compelled, having followed over the past year some of the concerns of other citizens who, and in fact I did speak in front of your group over a year ago. I am basically forcing myself to stand here because I owe it to a young relative who did not make it out of the Holocaust, and I keep his picture in my home, and I promise that I will never be silent, even if I'm unpopular. So, speaking of unpopular, I'm embarrassed as a past teacher, a special ed teacher. I love teachers. My family were teachers. My father was a principal, a superintendent. Okay, but I'm appalled that people don't want to hear another point of view. I'm very confused and disappointed about that. All right, let me get back to this. So now you know why I'm compelled to be here. And I want to say that for 7 years, the canaries in this coal mine have so passionately sought to inform and educate the Newton School Committee. That's all they wanted to do. They didn't come to bash teachers. They wanted truth. And if people are so afraid of a petition, you have to wonder why. What are they afraid of? Okay, so these people have witnessed, I've witnessed how the pleas of these alarmed citizens have been blatantly ignored without appropriate action or even basic respect. That doesn't cut it for me. Last October, I attended a rally against hate. That's a word that's been bandied around back and forth, and I guess hate depends on what side of the aisle you're on here. Okay, the rally was in Reading, Massachusetts. The impressive turnout was in response to some anti-Semitic activity, swastikas at the Reading School over the last year and a half, and a young high school student addressed the crowd expressing her deep despair. Why? Because her fellow students expressed anti-Semitic activity as simply being no big deal. Go get a life. Lighten up on it. So what struck me most about this large gathering in Reading was a stark contrast. The proactive, strong stance taken by Elaine Webb, chair of the Reading School Committee, and I quote, "We do not tolerate hateful words or actions, bigotry, or any other form of racist behavior in our classrooms, schools, or on our grounds." So this powerful response versus that which has long been demonstrated by the Newton School Committee. So for 7 years,
Thank you.
the response has been one of silence. Thank you.
My name is Charles Jacobs. I'm president of APT. We have been defamed in many ways here for years. One of the things that you say is that we were the only ones who cared about this. And in the beginning, that might have been true. But right now, the ADL and even the JCRC is very concerned about this. There are certain facts. I just wanted to say to the Palestinian woman, the doctor, that you wouldn't be able to get the Israeli point of view in the current curriculum. So there are certain facts. And Ruth Goldman said, when we came to the school committee meetings, you didn't have to respond to us, and that's why we're having this meeting, and you can respond to us, you can engage. So I have a series of questions that I would pose to David Fleischman, but any of you. Certain facts. David, when did you find out that the textbook that teachers used to tell students that Jews were killing Arab women in Israeli jails, when did you find out that that was a Saudi-produced textbook? And when you found out, did you tell the students that it wasn't true? That's the first. Second, when did you find out that 90 teachers from the history department were trained at Harvard University by an anti-Israel activist, BDS leader in Somerville? And after you found that out, did you tell anybody about it? And would you now? 3, when did you find out that David Bedard was trained in a workshop that was partially funded in a group workshop that was partially funded by Qatar? Qatar is a regime that is viciously anti-Semitic, not just anti-Israel, but viciously anti-Semitic. When did you find that out? And will you tell people that it's true? 4th, when did you find out that teachers gave to their students doctored primary documents? The Hamas charter was changed. They took out the part where Hamas says we have to kill every Jew in the world so that students would think this is a conflict about borders and not religions or existential. These are all true facts, I'm telling you. 5, it's clear to me why students would come and defend their teachers, because they love their teachers. They didn't know that their teachers were giving them things that even their teachers didn't know were false. For example, they gave them a set of maps that was produced by the PLO. It's a lying set of maps. Everybody in the Jewish community knows how to defend against that. But you took the PLO logo off the maps. So the students, how would the students know they were given false information? So my questions to you, will you answer these questions for us? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ilya Feokistov. I live in Boston. So I'm sure your lawyer really enjoyed hearing from the teachers about how what they think of public records requests and the Massachusetts Public Records Law, which is made to make government officials transparent. I love how some people here accused citizens petitioning their government for redress of grievances of McCarthyism. That was the funniest part of all. I loved the brainwashing evident when Bedar spoke and everybody rose and walked away. It really reminded me of the Soviet Union. When I was a brainwashed little communist kid, I also thought that I would never be brainwashed. That I wasn't brainwashed, that everything that my teachers taught me was true and real, and there were these bogeymen out there who were against the Soviet Union and against liberalism, and they must be destroyed. That's what I see in these teachers' emails. I see the same kind of attitude towards people who disagree with them, and I've read all of them, and I certainly have not released all of them. There is a lot of nastiness in there. One teacher, when a girl wanted to go study in Israel, she had cancer, she had to go there for treatment. His literal words were, "I'm not going to let them play the cancer card on me." Because she wanted to study in Israel. I won't mention the teacher's name because you made it forbidden. I'll read some more emails from the other teacher who made everybody leave. This is from January. There was a kid going absolutely anti-Semitic. He did it many times, in many venues. He was a member of the Model UN team at Newton. And I have the following run. This is Bedar. Apparently this kid denied the Armenian genocide in conversation with Newton North High School students at an MIT conference. Apparently, while talking to a Jewish girl about Israel and Palestine, he began making anti-Semitic statements. And while at Model UN, supposedly representing Hungary, he started speaking from the podium in character, anti-Semitic stuff. When asked what he did, why he did this, he said, well, Hungary is anti-Semitic, I'm just being in character. Here is the slap on the wrist that he got from David Bedar. I won't mention his name. I trust that you will continue to react in an appropriate manner and participate in Model UN like everybody else. That's all he got for anti-Semitism. There is no punishment for anti-Semitism.
Thank you. We are at the end of the public comment period. Everyone who has signed up has had an opportunity to speak. Oh, there are. Okay. Can we get the last? Okay, Lisa just went to get the last. Thank you. We'll just wait for those to come in. If you want to submit, give it to the woman in the sweater down here. She's one of our helping out with note taking. Janelle will take any notes that you'd like to submit. Thank you. That Lisa has confirmed that there no more people have signed in to speak. So we are going to take a 10-minute bio break, as they say. It's 11 past 9. We will reconvene back here at 9:20 for our deliberation process. At that point, we are going to ask the audience to listen and be quiet. We won't be answering questions. We'll be deliberating amongst ourselves. Thank you.